We came up with a prototype in late 2022, put it live early 2023. Once it started growing, it just took off like a rocket. Now approaching 1 billion search requests.
Got named best search engine of 2025. What made this possible? What made you guys stand out?
Most of our traffic, about 99% of it, is word of mouth. We continue to focus on trying to build a great product. We listen to our users. It's kind of like an upward spiral.
Based on what you know now, what's something that you would have done differently?
There's inevitably things that we would have designed differently from the beginning.
Hey, are you Brad Folkens, the co-founder of iAsk.ai, that AI search engine that's doing like 1.4 million searches per day? It's been featured in Forbes and Bloomberg and Entrepreneur and somehow still doesn't have any ads? Is that you?
Yep, that's me.
Incredible. Well, everyone's trying to build the next AI search tool right now, Brad, and somehow you guys have scaled to like 1.4 million searches, as I mentioned, 500 million searches in total, and got named best search engine of 2025. So I was like, I might as well just FaceTime this guy and see how he got it off the ground.
Yeah, it's been an incredible journey so far.
So what was, like, the moment this all started, bring me back, like day one, what was that like? What happened?
So my co-founder Dominic and I were playing around with this idea of search for a very long time. I mean, we've been in search since really early 2000s. 2002 is when we started. We built a site-level search engine. And so tools had kind of come a very long way, technology since then. In late 2022, we were playing around with this idea of leveraging language models to create essentially like an answer engine where you could ask it any question at all, and it could give you back an answer on anything that, it could possibly know on the internet. And so we came up with a prototype in late 2022, put it live early 2023. And then, traction at first, it took some time to kind of get going. But then once it started growing, it just took off like a rocket. And yeah, we've done now approaching 1 billion search requests, and it's just been great.
Dang. So how long ago was that?
So we started the site in 2023, beginning of 2023. It's 2 years now.
Talk to me about how the product has evolved since then with all the new AI capabilities coming out left and right. What has changed since, 2 years ago when you first started?
Yeah, so the language models have certainly gotten a lot better, which has been great. We've been able to take advantage of a variety of different language models. We've built a lot of technology on top of language models that helps us really reduce hallucinations, give accurate information, live information. You probably know that language models take a long time to train. So by the time you actually use a foundation model, they're already out of date. So we built some technology that helps us constantly provide fresh information to the language model. And that, of course, cuts down on hallucinations. But as the language models have gotten better, the results have continued to get a lot better. And so there's the technology that's available today versus when we started is just substantially better. It's more reliable, it's more consistent. So, that's provided a better response for our users.
Incredible. So you guys were named the #1 best search engine of 2025 by Slashdot, right? And you're in a very competitive space, it seems like. What made this possible? What made you guys stand out?
So I think a big piece is this technology we've built on top. We're language model agnostic, so we're always looking for the best language models that are out there. The open source models themselves have gotten significantly better, but so have the proprietary models. But this technology gives us a good 10 to 20% boost of accuracy on top of any language model. And then over time, what we've realized is that even some of the harder problems, these thought and reasoning problems, we're doing a lot better with. So we built this proprietary technology we have in the background, and that really helps us a lot in surfacing the best answers to our users and with very few hallucinations.
Interesting. So how did you guys acquire users when you first launched, and how are you currently continuing to build the product and build the user base?
Surprisingly, it's been almost all word of mouth. We did have some paid ads, some SEM going for a while. I don't know if we still do, but for the longest time, and really most of our traffic, about 99% of it is word of mouth.
Wow.
So people use the service, they have multiple tabs open, ourselves, GPT, Perplexity, some of the other ones that are out there, and they'll compare the answers. It's like they want the best answers, so they have multiple tabs open, they compare the answers. And we have the best results, so that they just keep coming back to us. Right. And that's really kind of what's caused a lot of the growth.
You have a fantastic product, and that will continue to take care of the rest, right? Have you had a hand in any of the other word of mouth? Like, are you guys strategic about it, or you just focus on continuing to build a great product and people come?
We continue to focus on trying to build a great product. We listen to our users or do tons of user testing. Also, the SEO has really helped us out a lot, because people keep linking back to us because they like it. So it's kind of like an upward spiral,
How is the media coverage that you guys have gotten help growth?
I think it's helped a lot. I mean, the thing about media coverage is it's hard to directly measure it. It's like we're so used to measuring everything that we really like measuring, SEO, SEM, because we can directly see how it affects the traffic and do those users use it better than other users, and all those kind of metrics.
Right.
The sort of explicit media mentions, we do see that they have like a spike in traffic, and then it kind of, those users sort of adopt it over time then.
What are you guys seeing be the primary use of the search tool? Obviously, I know it's a very open-ended question. Like, let's say, for example, academic use versus using it for work versus using it for everyday searches. Is there a theme that you're seeing, or is it across the board?
So, in general, people use us for research-like behaviors. So even if research means, trying to figure out how to fix a dishwasher, it can be that, or it can be professional searches. Like we see some young professionals using us that are trying to learn, more things about whatever career path that they're in.
Right.
But definitely the biggest one is for students that are asking homework questions or trying to learn a little bit more about whatever topic they're learning in school. Right. And it does a really good job. We've really tried to focus on giving very explanatory answers so that it walks somebody through a particular answer and just doesn't give, the answer itself.
About why, of course. I read that iAsk saves users around 80% of research time, which is a lot of time. How do you guys measure that type of statistic? It says iAsk saves users around 80% of research time. I was curious of how you guys measure that.
Well, one of the things that we looked at, especially in the beginning, is, if you go to Google, for example, or Bing, or one of these traditional search engines, you have to think about, okay, what exactly do I want to ask? And you have to summarize that into a keyword-based query. Well, once you come up with that keyword-based query, then you get a list of references in the search engine, and you have to click every single one of those pages, read the content, think about it, summarize it, synthesize it somehow, and then you have your answer. So when we were building this in late 2022 and launched it in 2023, we really wanted to create a answer engine that you could ask any question at all, the actual question that you were thinking in plain language, and then get back a nice summarized answer of all of the other resources that you would have had to spend a lot of time reading. Yeah. So it makes it tremendously easy for those types of tasks. We call those research-like behaviors. Okay. So it's anything from, trying to do something around the house, or what should I cook tonight for dinner? I have these ingredients. There's a lot of pretty cool stuff we've seen it come up with.
What's interesting is there's a lot of people now that are shifting over from Google to using ChatGPT as a search engine, using Claude, all these different, AI tools that are out there. What makes iAsk kind of a different solution for those types of people?
Yeah, we've always focused on this idea of one-shot question and answer versus being like a chatbot. So we're not, we don't really focus on being this kind of AI assistive chat bot that you chat with throughout the day. We want it to be sort of almost like an oracle. You ask it a question, you get an answer. Really kind of like Google was before they got full of all these, ads and spam and everything else. And so really, I guess to answer your question, the biggest difference between us and Perplexity and some of the other chatbot-like experiences out there is that we're not a chatbot, we're a question and answer engine.
Gotcha. So what's something that you guys have tried from a marketing or from a product development standpoint that maybe you tried that maybe didn't go the way you thought it would as a test to see how it would react? Has there been any scenarios that you would like to share?
Yeah, I think the paid advertising, there was a time when paid advertising was great because there weren't a whole lot of competitors. There wasn't a whole lot of competition in the paid advertising space. But as time has gone on, we've used a lot more creative marketing types of activities to improve the market saturation of the product.
Gotcha. Where do you see iAsk heading? How are you going to continue to build this? And is it going to be new features? What's that going to look like for the future of iAsk?
Yeah, great question. We've got a couple of pretty cool things in store that we've started rolling out. One of the things that's been pretty exciting for us is this idea of chatting live with I know we just said that we weren't really a chatbot, but we are exploring this idea of being like a companion. You can chat live with something in a visual sense, like you and I are chatting right now. That seems to be pretty interesting. You've probably noticed on the site we have a lot of these labs, ideas features where there's these kind of little sub products that you can click on. We really really like the idea that Google had years ago where they gave their employees 20% time. And this idea of, experimenting with little things that, may at some point become a big feature someday. That's how Gmail was created. Gmail was like a playground project for, a couple of the team members. They started playing around with it. And then now all of a sudden, Gmail is like one of the cream of the crop.
Interesting. So, Brad, if you were to go back to when you had first started in 2023, based on what you know now, what's something that you would tell yourself, maybe something you would have done differently? What would that look like?
Hindsight's always 20/20. There's different ways. I'm a technologist at heart, so I would have maybe I would have architected the system differently, knowing that, users are going to use it this way. But I am pretty happy about a lot of the technology decisions we made as a company. There's some very specific technology that we use that has made it much easier to build this than the technology from, I'm talking about, programming languages and systems like that. And so it's made a lot of the things that we've built that can traditionally be very difficult to do from a computer science perspective far easier. So I'm happy about that. But yeah, there's inevitably things that we would have designed differently from the beginning, because you always learn things about your users as time goes on. And your users evolve too. So it's, sometimes hindsight's 20/20. Sometimes your users are different now than they were before, so maybe that wouldn't have been a benefit either.
Absolutely. Well, what would you tell a newer founder in the tech space? Maybe they're launching an app, a platform. What advice would you give to them when they're first going into it?
Always listen to your users. Keep an open mind, understand what the technology is and what it can do for you. A lot of people sing song and praise about AI. AI is going to take over the world and everything. It's just another tool, but it's a very important tool. It's one of the biggest breakthroughs that we've had, especially language models in general, because language has always been a very difficult thing for computers to understand. And now we finally have tools to make sense mathematically out of language and meaning and all these things. And that's what makes these things possible. Bringing it back to your question, I think the most important thing is to really survey technology, understand what it is, but most importantly to be persistent, because my co-founder Dominic and I, we've tried many things over the years. We've been in business for over 20 plus years now together, 24, 25 I think. Tried a lot of ideas. A few of them have stuck, some of them have been shot up like a rocket. So it's you just have to keep experimenting.
Amazing. So obviously people can go to iAsk.ai to have all their questions answered. They can find you guys in the App Store, Google Play. Where else can people keep up with your journey and what you guys are building?
Yeah, I think iAsk.ai is the best thing. Check out the website. If you haven't, played with it before, experiment with it. See how you can use it to save time and answering questions. Let us know. We have a contact us form too, so you can let us know if you want to do something different with the system. And we're always looking for good input from our users.
Amazing. Well, Brad, thanks so much for taking the random FaceTime, and hope to stay in touch.
Yeah, awesome. Good to see you.
All right, see you, man.